my amazing artists. Today my sons Wesley and Grady are going to join me in my lesson. We're going to use them in our compositions to learn about foreground, middle ground, and background. Check it out.
Before we talk about foreground, middle ground, and background, I want you to take notice of something. My son Grady, who's in the front, is actually a couple inches shorter than his brother when they're standing next to each other. But in this composition, he appears taller. Why is that? If you said it's because Grady's in the foreground of the picture, you are correct. Grady is the closest object to us in the composition, so he will appear the largest, even though in reality he is smaller than his brother. The closer an object is, the larger it will appear. Now Wesley and the trees make up the middle ground. They are the area between the foreground in the front and the background in the back. Now to define the background, that means it's the furthest objects from us within the composition. In this, you'll notice the shed, the neighbor's house, and even some more trees in the sky making up the background. Now what I'm going to do with my hands seems kind of silly, but I'm going to take my pointer finger and I'm going to place it on the top of Grady's head, and then I'm going to take my thumb and I'm going to scoop his feet. Now I know that Grady is taller than 3 inches, but it appears right now in my composition that I can pinch him between my fingers. And just to illustrate the point a little further, I'll take my fingers and I'll put them near Wesley. The further I go back in my composition, the smaller the objects appear and the closer my fingers get. I'm going to ask Wesley to walk closer to me. As he walks closer, you'll notice I have to spread my finger and thumb even further, because as he comes closer into the foreground of the picture, he begins to appear taller. What this tells us, boys and girls, is that objects that are closer to us appear larger, whereas objects that are further away appear smaller. Can you identify the foreground, middle ground, and background of this composition? Go ahead, give it a try. Did you identify Wesley in the tie-dye shirt as the foreground, the object closest to us in the composition? Grady in the hula hoop with the ropes and the trees in the middle ground? And then the furthest points from us, the background, were the trees and the sky, finishing up the composition. Here's one more photo to look at to see if you can identify the foreground, middle ground, and background. Go ahead and give it a try. If you identified the foreground as Grady in the blue hammock, the objects closest to us, you are correct. The middle ground is comprised of the pilings, Wesley in the gray hammock, and maybe the neighbor's shed. The background would be the objects that are furthest from us within the composition, and that would be the neighbor's houses, the street, and the sky. Don't forget some of the trees back there.
We hope you enjoyed our video and learned a little bit more about foreground, middle ground, and background. Remember, foreground is the things that are closest to you in the composition, background is the things that are furthest away, and middle ground makes up everywhere in between. Now, if you'd like to demonstrate your knowledge of foreground, middle ground, and background, draw yourself a composition or snap a picture on your camera. If you'd like to share it with me, you can do so through email at aespern@lehsd.org, through Facebook at GJM Ospreys in the Art Room, or you can share it through our Google Classroom. Remember, stay safe, stay happy, and always know you're amazing.